Hey, good evening, all of our coaching students out there. This is Shade Foray. I'm here with Steven Swenson, and as usual here on Saturdays, we are happy to
Wednesdays.
yeah, Wednesdays. We've been doing it for Wednesdays for how long? Anyhow, we're happy to have you all here. We're happy for the chance to talk to you about things that may help you throughout the investing process, but also to help you find new opportunities and places to invest. We just like the chance to be able to touch base with you every week.
Yeah, absolutely. Talk about new finding areas and go over, different aspects of training that we think is important. And that's part of kind of what we're even doing today when we're talking about reviewing the steps to transfer to transfer quitclaim deed properties.
Yeah, transfer property by quitclaim deed, which is really something that is a relatively simple concept in a lot of ways, but also something that some people are completely foreign to and have never done or thought about. In fact, the majority of investors have no idea how to do it.
Yeah. Definitely something that your average investor isn't going to know how to do, and that really, the fact that you know how to do it kind of sets you apart with a skill that most people don't know how to do. As far as any kind of news, we just want to thank everyone that attended our one-day online workshop. We're going to go ahead and make the replay available to the coaching members, but I think it was a pretty good event.
No, it went way better than I think than we had thought it would initially, especially with it kind of being the first time doing a longer event like that. And it did work out pretty well. It worked out surprisingly well. And so I think we will, probably look to do more of that in the future or something along those lines. We definitely will do it again.
Yeah. We're also still looking at, setting the 3-day date. In fact, I was texting a little bit with Tom earlier today about looking into when they're finally going to open up areas like that for us to be able to have business.
Yeah. Now, also, I was just going to say, we ran a little bit short on time in terms of the success stories. We've had some good success stories. We'll come up and get them all highlighted
that's
here.
A good point.
We had some people do some incredible stuff this week.
Not only selling property, but also picking up some awesome property, in the Michigan auctions, in the Mississippi sales, in the New York auctions.
We've had tons of people have a lot of success getting exactly what they want, even winning them in auctions and winning them at good prices at auctions too. You're talking about definitely the kinds of prices that where you can be highly profitable.
Yeah.
And so we're excited for them. We'll provide more details here next week because again, there have been a lot of different things that have come in.
So as far as selling the property, when we're looking at selling property, we really have two different options. We can either sell it as a non-warranty deed or a warranty deed.
Yeah, or essentially, you can look at it as clouded title or not clouded title.
Yeah.
You could use a lot of different terms for it. Basically, yeah, it's either a warranty deed or it's not.
Yeah. Now, when we're selling with a non-warranty deed, using something like a quitclaim deed, really we're selling it as is. We're selling what we call wholesale. Now, your typical real estate, I guess the real estate industry or the training industry has kind of taken over the word of wholesale. Back when I first got involved in real estate, it was picking up real estate for a cheap price and then selling it to an investor or somebody else at still a discount, where you were selling it, kind of acting like a middleman.
Well, yeah, really, we are. I mean, we're stepping in the position where we're buying it with that clouded title, and we're buying it as is from the county, as cheap as it's ever going to be. If there's ever, I think, a reason to be called a wholesaler, would be in a situation like this where there's really no other cheaper way to get the property like this.
Yeah, I mean, kind of the way a lot of people refer to it now is actually doing paper, where you are taking a deed under contract and then trying to sell that property before your contract runs out. And really, that's not really wholesaling. Wholesaling is buying and selling it for a wholesale discount, picking up the property from its source and then selling it for a discount. And so when we're selling at what we call wholesale, it's really selling the property as is.
Yeah, which basically implies that we're not, there's no warranty attached to it. It's not eligible for title insurance, at that point, because the cloud is still on that property. Essentially, it still has to, well, it's just not insurable. If we're talking about title insurance, that's probably the simplest way to look at it. Is it's not insurable with title insurance as it is, that we're selling it intentionally that way. In fact, it'll be at a discounted price if we sell it like that too.
Yeah, exactly. That's part of the reason we're selling it as a discount, is because we are giving them a clouded deed, an unwarranted deed. Now that's going to give them 100% ownership right, just like a warranty deed, but it's still not going to have a warranty that there could not, be a possible problem.
Yeah, it's why it makes the most sense, especially if properties, if you can acquire property that is valued, below a certain threshold. It's going to make a lot of sense to do transfers like this rather than trying to pay big money to take a property through quiet title.
Yeah, in fact, maybe next week, we can talk a little bit more about the quiet title process and what's needed, to be able to do that. But really, if a property has a value of around 15 to 20 grand, then we can start looking at possibly doing it. But if we're selling these $5,000, $10,000 type lots, really selling them as is using a quitclaim deed is going to be our best option, because really every state allows property to be transferred this way.
Yeah, it's and it's something you'll find in every state, which is unusual when it comes to anything.
Yeah,
it's hard to find stuff that you can find in every state, and so it is one of those rare things that that you can find in every state. And it is set up and designed and meant to be a relatively simple way to transfer deed, just like you would, as an investor, or even if you were transferring deed, from one person to another.
Yeah, exactly. So as far as the 6 steps, these are really kind of the 6 steps that we're going to go through, and that you'll go through as you're transferring that property into another buyer's name. Now, you might have a step before this where you're actually doing the real estate contract and getting that all signed. But once that's all taken care of, once you've received payment, now it's time to transfer the deed. And these are really the steps that you'll go through.
Yeah. Once you have the deed and it's time to, once you have payment and the sales agreement and it's time to transfer the deed, then one of the first things we're going to want to do here is contact the county recorder's office or the clerk's office. It will depend on exactly where we're investing. But this is where we're going to want to begin, because we need to obtain a lot of information.
Yeah, well, they're going to be the ones that tells us what is needed, because every state's going to be a little bit different. In fact, even counties can be a little bit different as far as how much they charge, because you're going to be required to pay some type of a fee. Depending on the state, there may be some type of state transfer tax that you may need to be due. In fact, depending on the county, we've even had counties where we had to send them a stamped envelope if we wanted the new deed to be sent to the new buyer.
Oh, it had to be stamped and filled out.
Yeah.
And it had to be ready to go. There are, in some counties it can be, quite a bit easier than in others.
Yeah, well, and this information, the counties, this isn't like the first time the county is getting information is what do I need to submit this quitclaim deed, or what do I need to fill this out. So they may have that information available online. You may have to contact them, but they should be able to give you really kind of the list of what you need to have done before sending in the deed, because they're going to be the one that receives the deed. So they want it done correctly so that they don't have to send that back. And making sure it's done correctly is going to save you a lot of hassle, because if you suddenly transfer that deed and something's not wrong, it needs to get sent back, that can be a hassle that you don't want to have to deal with that particular county, especially as you're selling these properties to other buyers. So it's important to contact them first and find out exactly what you need.
Yeah, in fact, they're going to have a list, like probably a checklist, preferably, that you need to come up with that checklist of the items, that need to be included when you send that in.
Yeah, exactly. You have a pen and paper handy when you're giving them a call if you can't find that information online, so that you can write down that list. Shade's exactly right.
Yeah. So in addition to determining all of the things that we're going to need here, and we'll be able to talk about some of those, because Steve mentioned things like a transfer tax, which we could be looking at, or different fees like per page fees, which can vary from places, and who payments need to be made out to.
And well, and even something like the address.
Yeah.
That's all information that we're going to find out there with the county as we contact them to find out where we need to send it, what's going to be required, what the fees are going to be. Usually the fees are going to be pretty minimal, and in fact, we've got a form here that goes over some of them.
Yeah. Once we get done with that, though, we basically need to start the quit claim deed form.
Yeah, we need to find a template, one to use. Now, there's a lot of different options out there. In fact, we have some different options for some of the states that we've done. But really, we've even just downloaded these free forms off eForms and just filled them out.
And they work fine.
Yeah, because they'll provide you with either a Word or a PDF. So if it's a Word, you could type it in. PDF, you could print it out and write it in. But they will offer free services for every 50 states. Now, they may be exactly from state to state, but that doesn't necessarily mean it. So it's good to find out and pull up one of the actual state-specific
the state-specific quit claim deed form. Yeah, just because they may have certain requirements, or they may not want certain language in certain states, and so.
Well, some states may require, a signature for you and the buyer. Some states just the seller, So it's going to kind of depend on that. Deeds.com, you can do it for $20 a county. And with this, you kind of go in and fill out the information, and they create it all for you.
You mean in terms of the quit claim deeds kind of filled out for you, essentially?
Well, yeah, you just type in the information, and then it essentially prints it out for, you can print out the finished copy where you just sign it. This is another option. You don't necessarily have to use it. We've used the free ones before, but this is an option. The last one would just be Form Swift. And this could really be a benefit if you were doing a ton of deed transfers, especially if you needed some additional things, because the Form Swift allows you to do online signatures. So you could do your contracts on here. You could do your rental applications. You could do your seller financing, things like that, and there's other sources out there. This is just, one of the ones we've seen.
Yeah. In fact, I think another one of the sources we've got has document signing capabilities now too.
Yeah.
It's becoming a lot easier now to, to do,
Yeah, I mean, essentially $89 for 12 months, and it'll give you access to all of their forms.
Yeah.
So not just quit claim, but warranty deed forms and any of the other.
For all the coaching students in the beginning, though, your coach is going to help you get them.
Yeah.
It's but they're pretty easy to obtain. It's not really one of those things that I think is too much of a challenge. This is a little bit more of a challenge in filling out the deed correctly and completely.
Yeah, step 3, filling that deed out. And as far as the documents, there's certain things that you're going to need within the document. Example being you need to have blank ink is usually suggested. The signatures be in dark blue or black ink. The size you won't necessarily need to dictate because hopefully you'll be getting that in the form. And even the 3-inch at the top, that'll usually be on the form as well. So as long as we're making sure we're using the right size of font and the right color of ink, we should be pretty good just using that form as far as actually the physical form.
Yeah, so some of the things that we'll need to know about the property and be able to add, to the form there is number one going to be the legal description of the property. That's actually something that we're going to need to know, as well as the name of the county and name of the grantors and grantees.
Yeah, exactly. So that legal description is going to be on your deed. It's going to be on the county records. You're going to want to get the full legal description for that. And then, of course, the date. And then like Shade said, obviously the seller being you. And depending on that, you may be adding your address. Some counties even have you put a phone number in there, or some states, so it'll depend on, and that's kind of part of why getting that state-specific form is going to help you, because it'll have some of that information already put in there on what information you're going to need.
Yeah. Now, in addition to that, the person you talked to in the beginning, when you get that checklist, you're going to have a lot of things to include along with this deed. So we want to get this thing filled out properly, but then we're also going to have a number of other things that we're going to need to provide as well in order to to complete the process.
Yeah, and really filling out the deed isn't that complicated.
No,
You're
really,
just putting
if you
basic
just take your
information.
time doing it, yeah.
You're putting your name, your address, the buyer's name, maybe the buyer's address, the purchase price, the legal description, just basic information on there so that the deed will get transferred in the right name.
Just proofread it a lot.
Yeah.
Just make sure you don't, give. Anyhow.
Step 4 is really going to be about finding out if there's state transfer tax or transfer stamps that are going to need to be purchased to sell the property or to transfer the property into the new buyer's name.
Yeah, which the state transfer tax is kind of exactly what it sounds like there. It is a small fee associated with the sale and transfer of real estate, but it's oddly enough it doesn't exist everywhere, but in lots of places, almost everywhere.
Yeah, it kind of depend on the state. In fact, we've got some resources for you guys. A PDF that we put in the coaching file that you can download that'll tell you exactly what those transfer taxes are. But that's an important thing to figure out, and it's usually going to be minimal, especially on properties that we're selling for cheap.
Yeah.
It may be $5, $10, $15, $20. It could be a little bit more if your property was selling for a higher price point, but it's usually like 0.25% of a percent.
There's a few weird exceptions out there in a couple of places, it seems like, where they had a high fee. Maybe it was in some weird counties that we were looking at in Pennsylvania or somewhere.
Yeah, that was based on, those were almost going to be kind of an individual state fee dependent on the individual area. But as far as the full breakdown, this kind of gives a map of some of the states and what they're going to have as far as a real estate transfer tax. Of course, you can see, we know Mississippi doesn't. Mississippi's one of those states that don't require you, but Arkansas does. And that's where I believe Arkansas is 0.33 of a percent, so less than a percent, about 1/3 of a percent of what the sale price is going to be.
Yeah, in fact, I think if we look,
in fact, in the coaching center underneath the coaching Google Docs and PDFs, you can see that state by state transfer tax breakdown. And that's an example of it there on the left, and it'll put exactly what the deed cost is going to be for that state, and also if there's going to be a transfer fee.
Yeah. Yeah, which the next thing we're going to do once we have that paid and whatever evidence that we need to provide of that being paid, then the next step is going to be to get the deed notarized.
Yeah, exactly. One thing to quickly add about that last step that I just kind of thought of is that these will usually be done on state type websites. So there's going to be a lot of people, you're not the only one that's going to be looking for the real estate transfer tax. You could look at, Arkansas, real estate transfer tax, and it's going to pull up the website. It's usually done online, kind of an online form. You're going to put in the property information, your information, and then it'll require you to pay the fee. And then it'll give you a printout of you paying that fee that you'll include.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. The rest of them basically just have it counted as part of this statewide property taxes.
Yeah.
It's kind of interesting. And then you've got the states that double dip.
Yeah. Luckily, those, not really a ton of the states that we do a lot of business in, but.
No.
So then we're going to get the state, really get step 5 is getting the deed notarized. And so in this case, you can go to your local bank, real estate office. Really what you're going to need is that deed all filled out, ready to go. And then also, of course, your ID.
Yeah, really, that's all it takes. There are a lot of notaries out there. So this is generally a pretty easy step to accomplish.
Yeah, in fact, you can actually have notaries come to your door or meet you anywhere, they do it for a fee as well. A lot of times the bank, if you're part of the bank, they'll do it for a very minimal fee. Sometimes they do it for free.
Yeah, Yeah, I think we've had it done for free for us here.
So really, once you've gotten everything, once you've gotten the transfer tax form if it's needed, all of the deed filled out, knowing what forms you're going to need as far as also a check, for any fees, then really it's just sending everything into the county.
Yeah. So again, by that point, you should already know whether they're going to be sending that out, like the new deed out on their own, whether you're going to need to include the stuff or not. You'll know all of the stuff that you've got to include in that packet that you send in, so that you basically don't leave anything out, like the payment for it, or like the transfer tax that will cause it to have to be sent back and start over.
Yeah, well, even just making sure that you have the correct address and department that it's going to be going to. You don't just want to send it just to the county courthouse. They may have a specific department, suite, office number, person that you're going to do attention to.
Yeah.
And that's, part of the reason it's worth it. Even if they have that information online, we still like to give a call and make sure and just verify, okay, this is exactly what I need. Do I need anything else? Is there any tips, anything like that they may need, you may need just by, asking them and making sure.
Yeah. In fact, it's hard to find a statewide system, for transferring property deeds. And anything close to a nationwide, not even close.
No.
They're all just so unique in how they do this, as this part of what they do.
Yeah, but really kind of at least the process is going to be the same.
Yeah, that is the nice thing though, is that a lot of the steps are going to be the same. The general process is going to be the same. What might be different is maybe there's a transfer tax, maybe there's not. Maybe they're going to have more fees, maybe not. Maybe they're going to require us to include postage stuff. For the new buyer, maybe not.
In fact, one thing, just kind of thinking about this, is you're doing this, there's going to be some of these fees involved. And so one way that you can help recoup your profit is by including some type of fee within your listing that you charge in addition to the sales price for doing the deed work and transferring the deed and anything like that.
Yeah, there's no need to do that work for free.
Yeah, I mean, you can just include it within the purchase price, and we've done that on a lot of different deals because the fees are usually minimal, under $100 for everything combined. But that is a way, especially if, you say you're not getting a lot of action, so you drop the property $500, but you add in $399 processing fee, or deed transfer fee. And paperwork fee. That way you can kind of increase your profit a little bit and also help cover any of these fees and put a little bit more back into your pocket.
Yeah, whatever the fee is, you want to get yourself set up, you want to pay yourself for the time, but it also does give you quite a bit of more leeway when it comes to selling.
Yeah, well, even $199 closing cost, $199 in the closing cost and transfer fees. People aren't getting, that's cheap, I mean.
Yeah, that would be really cheap.
It's not going to be that much of a shock for them, to see a $200 to $300 type, closing a deed transfer
higher. So I totally agree. Okay, let's see here.
Got plenty of time left, so what we maybe do is go look at some upcoming auctions and some properties and things.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, which there are actually a lot of sales happening.
Yeah, a ton of sales, and we were looking at a California auction for a little bit on the one day that had some property coming up. In fact, I just added and was looking through some Wisconsin auctions that were kind of interesting as well. Maybe look on just for a minute. And these Wisconsin sales, we've seen some pretty good deals picked up at these, because there's just not a huge amount of competition. It's really kind of the people within that area that are focusing on them. So let's look at the first one with October 2nd, that Grant County. We'll just go through. There's not a ton of property on each one, so it doesn't take much time. You click on that all items. Okay. This one just has this one, but I was looking at this, for 30 grand, and it would have to do some research to see, what type of, what type of property or what the value is, but really it has a lot of inside photos. Essentially, it's a storefront with, apartments upstairs.
Yeah.
But, we'd have to look a little bit more into the town and thing, but it's always interesting to see properties like this that have, and you can see that it's got, built-in
Yeah, it's got a lot of
fridges and all kinds of things, hardwood floors. Really, it's it looks like it's a property that you could probably occupy pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Start bringing in rental income, also with the apartments upstairs, you could do things with that as well.
Yeah, there is a lot of room, in the places you start to look
On
at
the hardwood floors, man, you could redo those, and
it. Yeah, you also got
you've got that whole upstairs as well that you could finish.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Well, you
interesting.
look at that side shot of the whole house right there. You can see that it's just a pretty big,
Yeah, it is a pretty good sized house.
yeah, pretty good sized building,
Yeah, building, commercial building slash, house, and the opportunity there is, you could make money off of this in, a couple of different ways. You could rent it out both sides.
Yeah, really, and it'd be a property worth taking, even just taking the property through quiet title and selling it for just as is,
Yeah.
not even doing anything with it. Somebody could go in there, click on one of the next ones. And get then go October 6th. I'm not sure how good, they all are, but we can look at them real quick.
Let's just take a look and see.
So this one had some cheap property. I'm not sure if it was good or not, but opening bid starting at 100, it's at 215 now.
Yeah, it's not too big. It's only about a third of an acre.
Could be buildable. Is that the only one on that one?
Yeah.
Yeah, click on the next one. Some of them had a lot more.
Yeah, let's see. This one here's got 10. Let's take a look at this one.
There's some here that started up, quite a bit cheaper.
Yeah, $300. Of course, that's pretty tiny. Yeah. Let's take a look at this one. It's about a tenth of an acre.
What's kind of weird about Wisconsin too is some of the properties are cheap, pretty good value, and some of them they have listed real high, and I think it might have to do with like the way that it's owned. Maybe they have some type of homestead or something like that. But
yeah,
it's
local zoning.
Yeah, that property was withdrawn.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, right there on the right. You can see where.
Oh yeah, that's right. Let's see, we've got another one here, 0.28 acres on that one.
Somebody's willing to pay 8 grand for it at this point.
Yeah, in fact, that's 0.28 acres. Yeah, not 0.15.
This one might not be quite as good. Yeah, so that was crazy. Like that one's 72,000. It's kind of.
Yeah, it's just vacant land.
We can look at the next one.
Yeah, that's interesting that they will pay so much for it. Now let's see, on this one right here in Rusk, let's take a look. We've got 0.41 acres opening up at $2,000.
90 by 200 feet. That sounds.
Yeah.
Click on and see if there's any more photos at all, or
Oh, these are all images of this.
Oh, it's right there on the.
Okay, you can see where it's, yeah, it is pretty close to the lake. That's a public boat landing there. But that's kind of information that you would want to grab.
Yeah, save this.
Yeah, because this is the kind of thing that you could use when it comes time to sell the property, because that's kind of handy. You can say, hey, look, this is how close it is to a boat harbor. Have that in there.
Yeah, looks pretty good.
Let's see here. Yeah, and you can also see that. See what the exact lot size is here. It looks like a standard lot size. 0.41 acres.
I have to look and see what the value is on it.
Yeah, they're estimating it there about 4,500. Let's just see what it looks like,
what the market is.
Yeah, here, let's go back and let's look here, because there's
a house for 20 grand.
Yeah. Opening up at 20,000. Let's take a look at it. And yeah, this has also been, it's vacant as well and filled. Let's see where this one's located at. Right by the other one, kind of,
Yeah.
on that, or also on lake. But let's see.
Yeah, they have inside photos of it though.
Yeah. Now let's see.
Really, it looks pretty.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
they
kind of
even left the fridge open so it didn't stink.
well, it's a little log cabin really, and sitting on a frame. I mean, sitting on a foundation.
Yeah.
Which is, that's not bad.
No, that's a newer. I mean, not newer, but it's not, from the 20s or 30s or something.
Yeah, definitely more modern build, and I didn't see the downstairs yet. Let's see what we've got. Nice wood burning stove.
Or a wood burning stove.
Yeah, maybe not nice, but a stove. And I can't tell.
I don't know either.
Kill room or something. Oh, let's see here. Okay. But yeah, that's actually not too bad though for an online auction that's starting at 20 grand. It'd be interesting to see what that property is valued at. But there's more.
Yeah, so this one was 6, but it looked like they had a bunch of trash in it. I
Yeah,
didn't look at it too hard though. I just saw a small picture.
6 grand.
See if they have inside photos.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it's trash.
Looks like it got hit by a
Hoarder.
tornado. It's on a big lot, it looks like, or a decent lot. Yeah, this is probably moved around a bit.
Yeah.
Probably goes up right around there, but
Yeah.
that includes a lot of outbuildings. In addition to this house, there's a number of buildings back here behind it, and that's probably where all the stuff is.
Yeah, the inside isn't as bad. Well, I mean, it's junky for sure, but. Oh, that's a basement.
Yeah, that's down.
It's got some water down there.
Yeah. Well, that looks like a pure nightmare in some ways. It could potentially be.
Yeah, if the values there could be worth, looking at, but.
Yeah, sending out notices and throwing all that stuff away.
Yeah, I wouldn't really be too worried. It doesn't look like it has a ton of value.
Now here's a 5.8 acres, starting at 20,000. That also has a house. This one's actually maybe a little bit better. Let's see. It's also, sitting on a decent little piece of land there, almost a full acre. And there we can see, the heating and air conditioning system. I mean, that can't be more than 40 years old, 30 years old, maybe. And so that's actually, that's
from the 80s.
Yeah, that's good to see and know. I might look into the other parts of the house.
Not too bad.
Yeah,
that part.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's down in the basement. Yeah, interesting little house there, starting at 20,000, sitting on 5 acres. That's right. This one was 5 acres, I do believe.
It looks like Chris has a question about buying land in Mississippi and where to check for liens. Now, we have called the Commissioner of State Land multiple times.
Oh, you mean the in Mississippi?
Oh, the Secretary of State.
Yeah, the Secretary of State.
Multiple times, and they have told us repeatedly that because they are issuing a land patent, that none of the other governmental liens like city liens and things like that stick to a property in Mississippi. So, that's going to be one of those rare states where, they've told us that all of the governmental liens have essentially been wiped out once they issued that patent. So, that's what they've told us. That's kind of what the impression or the way that we've gone about it. So
yeah, we're kind of waiting to
anything
see,
come up.
we're waiting to see if it gets proven wrong here in some way, but so far we haven't had anybody that's bought anything from Mississippi that's had to come back and say, oh, there's all these liens against the property.
Yeah, that are sticking to the deed. Now, if you did want to try to contact somebody, it's probably going to be the chancery clerk, or however they say it, that they're going to be the department that records any of the liens, judgments, things like that. So that's who you would contact. In fact, that's who we're going to contact in most places. It's going to be whoever's in charge of recording that. Or we're going to, if we have any issue, we may contact the city as well to see if there's any type of nuisance liens, because those are going to be most common. But as far as Mississippi, we've been told, and we've been going under that impression that none of the liens stick to the property.
These are some great lots.
Man.
Even this 40 acres here that they say is landlocked. Yeah, it's landlocked, but there's like a road that's going to it. It's just undeveloped.
Yeah.
They haven't bothered putting roads in there officially. They just have trails. But yeah, that one's 40 acres.
Really just to be, see what type of property, what 40 acres goes for in Grant.
Yeah. And then, 10 acres below this, starting at 8,000, which, let's see, this one says it's landlocked too. Let's see where this is. Can't tell if that's a trailer or road, or if that's just like
some kind of dirt road.
Yeah, or if it's utility lines or something. Let's see where it's actually right there by the other property, I think. That one's around right there above it. You could actually, if you bought both of them, you would have complete access probably from. Oh, actually, no, I guess if this one's landlocked too, that's not gonna work.
Well, yeah, I mean, it does look like it has dirt roads all through it, but that's really too where we might get the actual deed, or maybe look at some of the deeds close to the property, because there could be some type of
property's vacant. Yes, this one's 5 acres.
As far as Chris, that's what we've understood, is it's going to include any other types of liens on the property.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's what we've been told. We haven't seen anything contrary to it. With an IRS lien, it's such kind of a different process. If it did have that, that's just really a matter of time. But from what we understand, their foreclosure process eliminates it.
Yeah. This one's kind of interesting though. It opens up at 5,000, and already has some bidding, bidding it up to 7,300 here so far. That's 5 acres.
We've been buying property there for what, 4 or 5 years now, and we haven't had any issues. So
yeah, interesting. That one is. Yeah, you can see that property there, 5 acres, going straight back there. Probably has some.
A lot of woodland, that's for sure.
Yeah. Well, and not a whole lot for some plots of land.
Some of those big, like a 40 acres with woods or something, that may have value in just the timber.
Yeah.
We've talked to different people that have bought properties like that, and the timber company will actually pay you to come out and to take all the wood off the property and give you a portion of the profits.
Yeah, which some properties have a lot of timber on them too, and you may want to clear space on them. Let's see, so we've got another one here, 3 vacant lots that are each 50 by 134. That one started it's up to 735, started at 600. And we've got a lot with trailer home at 10,000.
No, that does have a nice trailer home on it. Does it have more photos on that one?
Let's see. Oh yes, we even got interior photos and an additional garage. We've got
Yeah, so as far as the liens on the property, you know, really that's not going to be as big of our concern in Mississippi. What we're really going to just want to make sure is it buildable, is it usable, and that value. And as long as it
pretty
makes
nice.
sense, then it
It's
should
really
be good to go.
It's not too bad. Oh, maybe a new toilet, but you know, it's not
Yeah,
too shabby.
I've seen worse toilets than that.
Yeah, yeah. Let's see here.
Yeah, $10,000 for a mobile home with land and a garage.
Yeah,
You know, 2-car garage.
yeah, that's pretty awesome.
That's pretty good. I mean, we checked the market, but just looking at the opening bid.
A lot with dilapidated buildings, you know, 2,500.
Let's look at the pictures of their dilapidated.
It looks pretty dilapidated. Look at that. It is a bending house. Do you see that?
Maybe that's the style.
It's falling in a sinkhole in the middle. That's what's happening. It fell in the middle, and you can see that bowing action.
It's got a wood frame. I mean, a wood foundation.
Yeah, yeah. Which, you know, that's when you get homes that are older. When you start to get into construction and you do remodels and stuff, one of the things that you're going to start to find is that, you know, there's a big difference between dealing with a home that was built in the 20s versus a home that was built in the 60s. And, you know, I don't know when this home was built. I'd have to look at it. But older homes, some of the problems we run into are things like this, you know, like wood foundations.
You know, look down on the photos and see. Look at that one on the inside. I want to see what that kitchen looks like. See what it's all over.
That is dirt. Or no, it's insulation.
Insulation from the ceiling.
Yeah, the ceiling is caved in on it.
Yeah, that really probably a lot. You're gonna have to take off that house.
You can tell how old it is. Just look at the, you know, the stuff in it.
Yeah,
you know,
it came straight out of the Rocky 1, the movie.
Yeah.
Rocky Balboa's apartment.
Yeah, it's pretty old. Which one did we look at? We looked at Rusk, Bayfield. Let's see. Oh, they've got even more in Bayfield. These are pretty good auctions, really.
Yeah, these ones are starting at 100. And look at that. Oh wait, it has a minimum selling price. What was that?
I don't know.
I don't know, but
yeah, minimum selling price.
Type in that $100 bid.
Yeah, that sounds like a reserve to me.
I don't think they have those.
Yeah, you wouldn't think so. Now,
have to look into that. I haven't seen that on any of the other ones.
Yeah, 2 acres and vacant wooded parcels here. The values are pretty good, I think. That one's fairly small, starting at $100. That one starts at 100, also kind of the same size. And we've got a house. This one's at 10,500 here so far. Let's see, that doesn't look too bad. Yeah.
You know, also as these New York sales start coming up, you know, one of our students just killed it at one of the last New York online auctions. She did awesome.
Yeah. In fact, yeah, she was able to pick up 3 different properties and just killed it on each one of them, I think. And yeah, did that through the auction, you know, which, you know, there are, I mean, really fantastic deals, probably equal to what you might think of as over the counter in some cases.
Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I don't think of the counties that we were looking at that are.
You know, some of them, we've got to go through and look at them again this week, but some of them are still waiting on the lists.
I'll see if they're gonna have it. Oh no, we don't want their car auctions.
Go scroll down.
Postpone auction day.
This is the live one. This county had a live one on an online one.
Oh, here, look at these guys, because I know they've got several auctions here for their tax foreclosed real estate here. But yeah, some of these,
Asiago has an online only.
yeah, in fact, I think they've also got their catalog up too, I believe. Yeah, they do. Yeah, they've got a catalog.
Starting bid at 100.
Yeah, everything is starting at $100 here. So it must be some kind of resale.
Oh, that's the way a lot of these have done it
Yeah,
in New York.
yeah, about. Occupied, drive by any time. So New York is also one of those states where the county will execute evictions. In a lot of cases on people, and we'll have interior photos of the property sometimes. But at the same time, they also have properties, especially this year, especially.
Click on that former deed right below where you're at, right? Oh, you to the right. So where it says former deed, you just
Yeah, I just clicked on it.
Oh, what did it do? Nothing.
It's coming. Working on it here. Oh, it just pulls up this thing.
Might be able to access the deeds that way.
Yeah, that would be handy. That would be handy if we could. Yeah, several pieces of land
too, which you could.
Yeah, in fact, it'd be interesting to look into some of these and see how big they are. But it's a bigger sale. There's at least 3 pages here they've got. We could also pick it out if we wanted, through types.
Yeah.
If we wanted here, they've got them listed out there. There are quite a few single family homes starting at $100. That's crazy.
One thing would check, before making sure, some of them will have you pay a certain amount of back taxes. We've seen that before, but I can't see anything here about it.
Let's see. Yeah.
Well, look at that. I mean, that's got a,
full market value of only 2,400.
It's landlocked.
Yeah, it may not have frontage road, and it may be listed as some kind of timberland or something.
Yeah.
With real limited value there to it. But there are a lot of houses. There's a lot of property in general.
Look at that one right there by the river.
Yeah, 2 acres. I mean, that's a nice little lot. Doesn't need a frontage road. You've got the river.
All right, so Sawyer.
Just access your property by the river.
Just give me my raft, my wood raft.
Yeah, that seems like a nice little piece of land for $2,400. Yeah, and there's even more. A lot of homes too.
Something like that one on George Road, that might be just a normal building house.
4.8. Yeah, 4.5 acres that has abandoned. What's abandoned agricultural land? Does that mean that they?
I have no clue. I've never seen that before.
Abandoned agriculture.
They have a farm there at one time.
Yeah, maybe it was clear at one point. Oh, by the way, if you ever see land that has a house on it, but it's listed as vacant land, there's could be a couple of reasons for it. It could be because the county isn't assigning any kind of value to any of the buildings or structures, and that could be because they don't know about it, but most of the time they do, which it could mean that they're old structures that were torn down or maybe need to be torn down.
Yeah. I have another question about, do auction typically last one day or multiple days? It's going to completely depend upon the auction. Either way, it'll have a countdown where it's going to end at a specific time. So, in a way, you may be able to just bid on that last day in a lot of the auctions, but some of them will go over a period of time. Some of them will just be held on one day, and we'll go through each one of those properties one by one. So on something like a Florida real auction, it's going to be held on that one day. You're going to bid on those properties.
Batches.
Yeah, it's just going to, you're going to log in, it's going to sell from property to property and go down all of that list. You can put in your high bid amount and leave it alone, and it'll bid up against, it's other people bid against you, then it'll increase the amount up to your high bid. So, you know, if you put a $10,000 high bid and somebody went up to bid up to 7,000, you would only pay 7,500 or $7,100, depending on how much the bidding amount was increased. So you're not going to pay more up, you know, you're not going to pay 10,000 if somebody only bid it up to 7,000. But some auctions will kind of go over a longer day period where people can put in bids up, you know, from the 23rd to the 26th, and then it'll end at a certain time on the 26th.
Look at that, it's an equestrian facility.
That's sick. That's huge.
It's a huge barn. Look at that. I mean, equestrian or other farm, you know, other animals, but that is, you know, that is a nice setup there on 4.7 acres. That is impressive.
Yeah. Another question about how far in advance do you need to register? It's going to completely depend upon the auction. So some will allow you to register up until the time of bidding, even through online auctions, but there may be a deposit that you're going to need to.
Yeah, that's usually going to be the what you have to have in.
Yeah, in fact, that's the reason we say before even researching a list, find out about how, you know, any of the registration information, deposit information, anything like that, because you don't want to spend time researching properties you can't bid on.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyhow, we'll wrap up this webinar here for tonight, and yeah, we'll do the weekly webinar here in just a minute. But yeah, thanks for joining us tonight, guys. There are tons of great sales happening, so good luck to all of you.
Yeah, thanks again, everyone.